Lesson 18, I will find whole number quotients and remainders. So in this lesson, we are moving away from using our place value chart to just going to standard algorithm. If you feel like you need your place value chart a little bit longer, you can always get out your dry erase board and you can switch to that place value chart and you can use it right along with your standard algorithm until you don't feel like you need that place value chart anymore. All right, so we're going to start right here with 46 divided by 2. So the first thing that we're going to do is it says solve using standard algorithm. So we're going to begin by solving it. Once we solve, we're going to check our quotient and remainder using multiplication and addition. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my problem using standard algorithm, and I'm going to begin by dividing the tens. So if I have 4 tens divided by 2, I have to think to myself, what is 4 divided by 2? Well, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I'm going to put a 2 in the tens place. And then I've got 2 2's, which is 4. So I'm going to subtract. And that leaves a total of 0 tens. So I'm going to bring down my ones. So now I'm ready to divide 6 ones. 6 ones divided by 2 would be 3, because 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now I'm going to multiply to see how many ones I used. 3 times 2 is 6. So 6 minus 6 would be 0, so I have a remainder of 0. Now I'm going to check my quotient, which is 23. I divide it by 2, so I'm going to multiply by 2 to check my answer. I have 3 times 2, which is 6, and 2 times 2, which is 4, which gives me 46. So my answer and my total here match, so my answer is correct. Okay, let's try another one together. So I've got 96. And I'm dividing it by 3. So I've got 9 tens. I divide them by 3, so I'm thinking to myself, what is 9 divided by 3, or how many 3's are in 9? Well, I know that there are 3. 3 times 3 is 9, so I'm going to subtract. And I have no tens left over because I used all of them. When I put 3 in 3 groups, that used all 9. Now I'm going to bring down my 6 ones. So I have 6 ones divided by 3. That puts 2 ones in each group, and then I'm going to multiply to see if I have a remainder. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. So again, I do not have a remainder. So my quotient is 32. I divide it by 3, so I'm going to check by multiplying by 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 3 is 9. So my answer here matches my total. So my answer is correct. Okay, let's try the next one. So now we're going to do 85 divided by 5. Now this one is not going to have a remainder, I don't think. Well, actually, hold on, let's do this one together because it is going to have a remainder in the tens. If you feel confident, please pause the video and then you can check at the end. But if you still are a little bit shaky on the standard algorithm, stay with me because I'm going to talk you through several of these today where I normally would let you go on your own. Again, if you want to try it on your own, go ahead. But if you want to stay with me, I'll talk you through it. So I've got 8 tens divided by 5. So that would put 1 10 in each group. Well, 1 times 5 is going to give me 5. So that means that I have 3 tens left over. I'm going to take those 3 tens and add them to these 5 ones, and that gives me 35 ones. So now I take 35 and divide it by 5. So how many 5's are in 35? Well, that would be 7. So when I multiply to see if I have a remainder, 7 times 5 is 35. Again, I have a remainder of 0. So I'm going to check my answer. My quotient 17. I divide it by 5, so to check, I'm going to multiply by 5. 7 times 5 is 35. 1 times 5 is 5, plus those 3 makes 85. So my answer matches my total, so it must be correct. All right, I'm going to walk you through another one. Again, if you feel like you don't need me to walk you through this one and you're ready to do it on your own, pause the video and try it on your own. See how you do. All right, so I have 5 tens divided by 4. So how many 4's are in 5? Well, that would be 1. So I'm going to see if I have any 10's left over. 1 times 4 is 4, so that leaves 1 10 left over. I'm going to add my ones to this. That gives me 12. 12 ones divided by 4 would be 3. I'm going to multiply to see if I have a remainder. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 minus 12 is 0. So now I'm going to check my quotient. My quotient is 13. I'm dividing by 4. So to check, I'm going to multiply by 4. 3 times 4 is 12. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5. My answer matches my total. All right, let's keep going. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here, and I want you to try to do number 5 all by yourself, and then let's come back and check together. If you get stuck, just press play. Okay, so let's take a look at how you did. The first thing I had to do was think to myself, how many 3's are in 5? And my answer to that was 1. So then I multiplied 1 times 3, which gave me 3. And then when I subtracted, I was left with 2 10s. So I went ahead and brought down my 1s, and that gave me 23 1s. So I had to think to myself, how many 3's are in 23? Well, nothing times 3 is exactly 23, but I couldn't go over. So the closest I could get to 23 without going over was 7. And 7 times 3 is 21. So when I subtracted, I had a remainder of 2. So now I'm ready to check. I'm going to take my quotient, which is 17. I was dividing by 3, so now I'm going to multiply by 3. 7 times 3 is 21. 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 gives me 5. That gives me 51. I have to add my remainder of 2, and that gives me a total of 53. So my answer matches my total. All right, I'm going to pause the video again, and I'd like for you to try to do number 6 all by yourself. If you get stuck again, just press play. Okay, so let's take a look at 95 divided by 4. All right, so I had 9 10s divided by 4. So I knew that there were 2 10s in 9, and 2 times 4 would be 8. So when I subtracted 9 minus 8, I was left with a remainder of 1 10. I took my 1 10 and I added that to my 5 1s, and that gave me 15 1s. When I divided 15 by 4, nothing times 4 is exactly 15. So I had to get as close to 15 as I could without going over. And I knew that 3 times 4 would give me 12, and 15 minus 12 gives me 3. Now, if you messed up and you put a 2 here, then you would have had 2 times 4, which is 8, which would have given you a remainder of 7. Your remainder should never be more than what you're dividing by. If it is, then you know that you used a number that was too small. So if you ended up with a remainder of 7, even when you checked your work, it might work out, but you would have, your remainder should never be bigger than what you're dividing by. All right, so I ended up with a remainder of 3, and then I went ahead and checked my work. I took 23, which is my quotient, and I multiplied it by 4, and that gave me 92. I added my remainder of 3, and that gave me a total of 95. So my product of this answer here, my answer when I checked matched my total, so it must be correct. All right, let's try to do 7 and 8 by ourselves. Again, if you get stuck, you can always press play. It is okay to follow along with me as long as you're listening and not just copying. If you don't try to do any of it by yourself, you're not going to have a very successful time at trying to do this standard algorithm all by yourself. Do as much of it by yourself as you can before you press play. Okay, so we had 89 divided by 6. So the first thing I had to do is I had to figure out how many 6's were in 8 10s. Well, I knew that that would be 1. So I went ahead and multiplied 1 times 6, which gave me 6. So I had 2 10s left over. I took my 2 10s and I added them to my 9 1s, and that gave me 29 1s. So I divided my 29 1s by 6, and nothing times 6 is exactly 29. So I started thinking to myself, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. So I had to go back to 24, which is 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24. That gave me a remainder of 5. So my quotient was 14 with a remainder of 5. And then I went ahead and checked my work. 14 times 6 was 84, plus 5 gave me 89, which I didn't finish. 89, which gives me the same answer as I had here. All right, so now we're ready to try problem number 8. I would like for you to pause the video and do this one all by yourself. Okay, so I had 96. 9 tens divided by 6 would put 1 10 in each group. So then I multiplied to see if I had any 10s left over. 1 times 6 gives me 6, which is a remainder of 3 tens. I added those 3 tens to my 6 ones, which gave me 36 ones. So there actually is a 6 fact that is exactly 36, and that is 6 times 6. So 6 times 6 is 36, which gave me a remainder of 0. When I checked my work, 16 times 6 gave me 96. All right, we have 9 and 10. I'd like for you to try to do 9 and 10 all by yourself. Again, if you get stuck, you can always press play. Okay, so this is the first problem that we were introduced to a 0 in the ones place. It may have been a little bit confusing to you, but actually it's really quite simple. So if you have 6 tens divided by 3, that would give you 2. So 2 times 3 is 6. You probably had no trouble when you got right there. So 6 minus 6 was 0. So then you probably got right here and thought, well, this is weird. I don't know what to do. But if you don't think to yourself, what is 0 divided by 3, and you just leave your answer as 2, that wouldn't make sense. This 2 is in the tens place. So we have to finish this problem so that this is not 2 ones. 0 divided by 3, we have to put the 0 there, or else this becomes 2 ones. And if you had 60 and you put them into 3 groups, you wouldn't have 2 in each group. You would have 2 tens, which is 20. So I went ahead and multiplied this out. I really didn't have to, but I did. So that would be 0 times 3, which is 0, and 0 minus 0 is 0. So I had no remainder. Then I checked my work, 20 times 3, which gave me 60. All right, so let's take a look at problem number 10. So this one was a little bit easier, I actually thought. When you did 60 divided by 4, I had 6 divided by 4, which is 1. 1 times 4 is 4, which gave me 2 tens left over. I added my 0 ones, which gave me 20. 20 divided by 4 was 5. And 5 times 4 is 20, which gave me a remainder of 0. And then I checked my work. 15 times 4 was 60. All right, 2 problems left. 11 and 12. I'd like for you to try to do these by yourself. Now we're dividing by bigger numbers, so you're going to have to remember your 8s and your 7s to be able to do this. I'd like for you to try to do these problems all by yourself, and then we'll come back and check. Okay, so I thought these problems were pretty doable by yourself. Let's take a look at the first one. So when I divided 95 by 8, I ended up with 11 remainder 7. You can see that when I divided the tens, I ended up with a remainder of 1. When I divided the ones, I ended up with a remainder of 7. So I had 11 remainder 7. Remember, your remainder should never be larger than what you're dividing by. So then when I checked my work, 11 times 8 is 88, plus 7 is 95. So then I did 95 divided by 7. So this time, I had 1, 7, and 9, which gave me a remainder of 2. So I had 25 ones, which would give me 3. 3 times 7 is 21, which gave me a remainder of 4. So when I checked my work, 13 times 7 gave me 91, plus 4 gave me 95. So if you're having trouble with this division algorithm, remember you can still use your place value chart. That's very important. Keep using it if you need to. You just have to remember how to be able to transition from that place value chart to standard algorithm, because eventually the numbers are going to be too big and you're not going to want to use that place value chart anymore. If you're having trouble, don't just be discouraged. Remember that most people do have trouble with this at first, but you will get it. Just hang in there.